Sir.
Yes. My screen is also visible to all of you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today is the last class of our ASP.NET Core Basics. And from tomorrow onwards, we are going to start our ASP.NET Core MVC, right? So as I mentioned earlier, we can create what I can say, ASP.NET applications in many different ways, right? .NET Core application you can create using Visual Studio. As of now, we have seen that. We can also create ASP.NET applications or .NET Core applications using Visual Studio Code. That is what we are going to discuss in our coming sessions. That's right. Once we start discussing Web API, even though it is also possible to develop .NET Core applications using a command line interface. So, what is this command line interface? How you can use .NET Core application? Not only creating application, but also you can add packages, you can build the application, you can run the application, you can publish the application, right? How we can do all these things using .NET Core? That what we are going to discuss in today's session, right? So let us start discussing this command line interface because in our coming sessions also, I'm going to show you the use of a command line interface, how you can install package using command line interface, how you can run your application using command line interface, what are the format, what are the things you should know about command line interface, how you can verify what are all the commands, right? Which command is used for what purpose. So all these things you should know. If you know, that is a good thing. But to be frank, once you start developing any kind of real-time applications, right? If you are having Visual Studio, then you should not use this command line interface, right? And but if you do not have Visual Studio, suppose you are working for a company, right, who doesn't have that Visual Studio, because see, buying Visual Studio for a personal use as a student, you can freely use it. But while you are working for a company, you cannot use Visual Studio freely. You have to buy uh, the license, right? And Visual Studio license is very costly, right? Some companies, what they are thinking, let's forget about Visual Studio. So do one thing, Visual Studio code is there and command line interface is there. Command line interface is completely free. Visual Studio code is also completely free. Let's mix up both this and start developing. See, any kind of packages, all these things required, creating the application, we'll do the same using our Visual Studio. Right, we can do the same using command line interface and writing the code and anything for that purpose. We can use what we can use. We can use that Visual Studio code, right? So let us see how you can use this command line interface. The command line interface is a new cross-platform tool. So whenever I'm saying cross-platform tool, can anybody tell me what we meaning by this cross-platform tool? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of this cross-platform tool?
Will be
Will
executable on all the OS.
Right,
like
right.
it
So
supports
basically,
in all platforms.
exactly. So basically, it is not meant for Windows. You can use this tool using other operating system as well. And this cross-platform tool is used for creating, restoring, building, running, and publishing your .NET Core applications, right? So you can develop any kind of any kind of a .NET Core application. Not only you can develop empty web applications, MVC application, even though you can also develop console application. Any kind of applications you want, you can develop, you can publish, you can run, you can build using .NET Core CLI. The .NET Core CLI for any kind of web application, it uses out of hosted processing model by default, right? If you are going to run any .NET Core web applications, right? For desktop or console application, this hosting model is not required, right? But for if you are developing any kind of a web application, then for that purpose, it is going to use out of process hosting model and it is going to use Kestrel as the web server, right? So you can't use that IIS Express or IIS for hosting your and for running your application using Kestrel server. So if you are using Kestrel server, means what? It is going to be out of process hosting because in process hosting will come into the picture only when you are using IIS. And we already know that .NET Core CLI uses a Kestrel as the web server. That means what? It is nothing but your out of process hosting model. So simply funda, you have to remember IIS means in process of hosting. If it is unused, right? Kestrel means out of process hosting. Either it is can be used as the internal server, it can be used as the external server. But if Kestrel using means it is out of process hosting model. Clear, guys?
Yeah.
Right. See, as of now, all the application what we have developed, right? We have developed using Visual Studio, and Visual Studio internally uses this .NET CLI commands to restore, build, and publish the application. Other high-level editor tools are also available. For example, Visual Studio Code. They also uses this CLI commands to create, restore, publish, and run .NET applications, right? And when we install .NET Core SDK, then by default .NET Core CLI get installed, right? So you do not need to install .NET Core CLI. By default, it is get installed. So you do not require any kind of additional or separate installation for this .NET Core CLI into our local machine or local environment, right? You can verify the same whether the .NET Core CLI is or .NET CLI is installed or not using command prompt, right? So what you need to do, so if you are working with Windows operating system, then we are having the command prompt, cmd, what you can write. But if you are working with a Linux operating system, then there is no such command prompt, they are having terminal. So if you are working with Windows, then open command prompt. If you are working with Linux, then use the terminal and just type .NET and press the enter button, right? For example, I'm using command prompt. See, command prompt I open. So once I open the command prompt, next what you need to write, you need to type .NET. If you want to type .NET, if you get this this message, right? Usage options, right? Then it is nothing but your .NET Core CLI is installed into your application. So what is the uses? Uses means how you can use the .NET Core CLI. So for that purpose, you need to write .NET, then options. And this options means what? It is optional. So whenever I'm saying this square bracket, right, in any kind of in our programming language, whenever we mention something in between square bracket, then that is nothing but it's an optional command. See, I can directly, I can type, I can only type .NET and it is working. Similarly, what exactly this option means, instead of options, you can write /h or /h, uh, sorry, double slash help, right? You can write this double hyphen info. You can write double hyphen list hyphen SDKs, list double hyphen list hyphen runtime. So what exactly this means? It means this will give you the list of commands that what you can use, right? For example, let's start with this command, right? So how to use this command? First of all, you need to type .NET and then you need to specify the command. So I'm typing .NET and I'm specifying this command, list of runtime. So what exactly it is going to give me? It is going to return me the list of runtimes are available on your machine, which can run your .NET Core applications. And as you can see, I am having different types of .NET Core framework installed into my machine. I am having .NET framework 2, 3, 5, 7, right? 6, all 2, 3, 6 is right. 5 different framework installed on my machine. So you can see for each framework there are a 3 .NET Core runtime environment. And the next command is .NET SDKs. SDKs means what are the different .NET Core framework installed into your application, right? List of SDK. You can see in my machine 2.1, 2.2, 3.1, 6.0, 7.0 installed on my machine. So how you can say that these are the .NET SDKs installed into your machine? Now, if you go and if you try to create one application, then you will see, right? Then you will see whatever the framework installed, all I will get the option to create the application, right? So let me go. And once you click on the next button, then you will see this framework is nothing but this .NET SDKs. So what are the SDKs it is showing here? those list you will get here, right? So currently by default it is showing .NET 6.0 because it is having the long-term support and it is the uh, uh, available one. It is not out of support, right? If you click on this drop-down list, then you will see .NET Core 2.1 or 2.2, 3.0, 3.1, 6 and 7. So these are nothing but your SDKs, right? So out of support, you can see these are out of support, and currently it is having this long-term support 6.0, right? So I'm having 2, 3, 6 and 7. Another command is there //info, right? So basically what exactly this command, it will give the information about your, what I can say about your application, right? Suppose you registered at what location this DLLs are installed. It is registered on a particular location of something like this, right? Environment variable, do you have a set any environment variable global .json file? So basically, whenever you create any application and you want to check what is the environment variable global.json file, these are the things that information you will get, but it is not going to be used in our application. And if you want to know more about what is exactly this info command, then you can visit to this what I can say URL. And if you want to download this info, because currently you can see this environment variable global.json file, these are not available. If you want to download this, you can also download. But this is not. But this is not going to be used anymore because if you're working with the .NET 1, 2, then at that time this global.json file and all these things are used. But currently these are not going to be used, right? And the last command, what is there inside this is hyphen help or hyphen s. Anyone you can use, right? Both meaning is going to be same, right? Suppose I'm writing dot net hyphen h. See what exactly it is saying? It is giving me the list of commands, right? See, execute a .NET Core application runtime options, right? And here it is the most important things, right? These are the things that you need to understand. SDK commands. So these are the commands that you need to use to develop, to build, to run, to publish, right? To add some packages, everything that you can do using this command. See, add a package or a reference to a .NET Core, right? Basically, what exactly means? It means if you want to add a package or a reference into your .NET application, then you need to use this add command. So build means it will build the project. Build means what? It will going to check whether is there any compile time error or not. Once you build the project, then it will make ready the DLL and EXE. And once you build, then you can take the build and deploy into your production. So similarly, clean command, we know what is the use of a clean command. So basically, it will clean. Clean means once you execute the clean command, whatever DLL or EXE previously created, those are going to be deleted, right? Again, once you build, then again these are going to be created. So the command which we are going to use, that command what I'm going to show you, right? New command means it is basically create a new .NET Core project, right? So, or any file you want to create, any project you want to create, that what for that purpose you are going to use. Provides an additional information about the NuGet commands, right? So what are the commands that are available, right? How you can use the NuGet into your application. For that purpose, this NuGet command is going to give you more information, right? Similarly, probably if you want to publish your .NET application, then you need to publish. And this remove command is basically suppose by using this add command, you have added one reference Newton sub.json. Now you don't want that Newton sub.json package anymore, right? Then you can remove that package using this remove command. Restore means if any, whenever you download one project, right, some of the DLLs, right? Earlier they are using some older version. Currently, the newer versions are available, and you want to restore the packages to the latest version, then you can use this restore command. This run command means, as you know, so basically it is basically used to run your .NET applications, right? And rest of the command which we are not going to use, so doesn't make any sense to. discuss those commands, right? So basically this is how you will get and how you will use. Now we will see how we can create a .NET application using a .NET Core CLI command. See, any kind of application you can create, right? Any kind of application you can create. But for the simplicity, I'm going to show you how you can create a console application. But it is doesn't. But it is not limited. You can create. See, before start developing, give me the 1 minute, guys. So basically, let me clear the screen. For clearing the command prompt, what command you need to write? CLS, right? Once you clear the screen, then .NET new list, right? So once I type .NET new list, then you will see this one, right? .NET new list means it will give you the list of commands, right? Using which you can create the project, right? So if you want to create a ASP.NET for empty application, you have to use this web command. How to use that I will show you. For creating ASP.NET Core Web API project, you can use this Web API command. Similarly, if you want to create Razor Pages application, then you will need to use this ASP.NET Core Web App command, right? Similarly, if you want to develop MVC application, right, that command for MVC application, it is going to MVC. For Angular, it is Angular. For React application, it is React, right? Similarly, for class library project, you have to use class lib. For console application, you need to use this console command. So these are the command that what you can use to develop the applications. And by default, you can see by default, the programming language is selected as C sharp. If you want, then you can also use VB F sharp. But this VB and F sharp, right, is not available for all types of applications, right? So whichever application having that option that is mentioned here. For MTA web application, you can C sharp VB. For web API, you can sorry F sharp. For web API, you can use C sharp and F sharp, right? And if you want, right, uh, and if you want to use VB, then that is not possible. Why? Because in this case, VB is not there. But if you want to develop class library and console application, you have all the options: C sharp, F sharp, VB, C sharp, F sharp, VB. Right. So these are the uh, right command. Or these are the different types of a project template that you can develop using your .NET Core CLI. And how you will get this list of templates? For that purpose, you need to use .NET new list, right? So once you know the template, right, or once you know the command that you need to use to get the list out, then you can use those command to develop the applications. For example, I want to develop a console application in some particular directory, right? So basically, what is my intention? I want to create a project, right? Okay, if I go to the D drive, let me go to the project folder, and inside this folder, let me create another folder. This is the projects folder, my console app. So what is my intention? Inside this folder, I'm going to create the console application. So for that purpose, what we need to do? So for that purpose, you need to select the directory, right? The command prompt directory to that particular folder only, right? Let me show you how you can do this. First of all, clear the screen. You need to go to that directory. So copy the path. So the path is this one. Okay. CD and type this one. Clear? Oh, so it's not working. Okay, let me first go to D drive. Okay. And once you go to D drive, then just provide this one. Right. So now the project directory is set to this path. So in this particular folder, I want to create. So basically, whatever the path you specified, it should exist, right? So in my application, inside the D drive, there is a folder called project. Inside this project folder, there is a folder called my console app. And inside this my console app, I'm going to create a console application. And already we know, right? If you remember, I opened another command from, right, to make you understand. .NET/H, right? So which command is used for creating a new project, guys? Which
New.
command is
Yes,
used?
new command.
New command,
New.
right? I'm
New
opening
command.
another, yeah, I'm opening another command from, right? .NET new list. So which command is used for creating the console application?
Console.
Console.
Console. So, right. So basically, I want to create a new console application. .NET new console. Clear? So whenever you are using .NET Core CLI, every command, whatever you are going to write, it will start with the .NET command. He is the driver. He is going to drive anything, right? After providing the .NET, whatever things you want to do, that you need to provide, right? So here I'm providing .NET new console. So once I type this and press the enter button, right, then you will see that the template console app was created successfully, right? So in this case, did .NET console or this command is for what template? Console app. So it is saying that same message or not? The template console app was created successfully, processing post creation applications and restoring this project, right, into which location? Inside this location, right? And what is the name? Whatever the folder name here you provided, in that particular name it is going to create. Can I create with a different project name? Yes, that is possible. How that what we are going to discuss after some time, right? So now, if you go to this project.cs file, then you will see it is going to be created. There should be a console application, and if you want, you can open this CS pros file using the notepad, right? So it is targeting .NET 7.0 because it is the latest version. So whenever you are using .NET framework, right? Command line interface, it will always take the latest version. So you can see the output type is going to be exe because in this case, as we are developing one console application, so it is going to generate the exe. Sometimes it might be DLL and sometimes it might be exe. And if you remember, whenever we develop any kind of what I can say console application, desktop application, then the type of the assembly it is going to generate is exe, and in this case the output type is going to be exe. And you know what is this target framework implicit using and a nullable type. So basically it will nullable type will make your application to be more robust by giving you some kind of warning that you might get some null reference type exception at runtime. Implicit using means you do not need to add the commonly used namespaces in each and every classes, right? And target framework means what is the framework it is targeting, right? And this output type we have discussed. So this is the exe file. So in this way,
Uh,
you can create your console application.
Pranay, when we are targeting for Windows, it will be exe file. But when we are targeting for Linux or the Mac system, then the
Yeah, so
extension will automatically.
see, if you are targeting Linux, if you are developing the application using Macs and Linux, right, then based on the executable file, the type is automatically going to be created, right? You do not need to
Okay,
do
we don't
anything.
need. Yeah, yeah. Okay, got it.
Sir, is creating a new project same as creating a new solution for each project?
Yes.
Ama.
Yes. So
But
and
there are
now
instances.
your question might be, suppose inside this my console app folder,
Ah.
I want how I can create multiple projects, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is what I'm going to discuss next. So in this case, automatically it is creating the project inside this my console app folder, right? Now, if you want, you can give any meaningful name, and with that name only the project is going to be created, right? For example, right? So what my intention is, if you want, then you can also give a different name to your project. And second thing is that this location is not important, right? Once it is created, you can copy this one and you can paste it anywhere, right? So once you paste it anywhere, then that is fine. And in this case, don't think that Visual Studio solution concept, right? Because you are not developing application using Visual Studio here. Here you are using command prompt, individual project, right? Solution means what? Now it is a location where you can put multiple projects, right? But and from the day one, I have told you whatever flexibility and functionality provided by Visual Studio is not available in .NET Core CLI, is not available in Visual Studio Code also, right? So here you can develop individual project, but you can find that Visual Studio solution. Why? Okay, tell me what is the required of that solution in this case? Are you going to use Visual Studio?
So all the related class libraries can be placed under one solution
See,
only, right?
let me tell, okay, tell me, if I'm not putting that class library project in the same solution, am I not able to use that class library project?
We can use it.
Yes. So solution means what? A Visual Studio provide that flexibility, right? But it is not mandatory,
Okay,
right?
yeah, got it.
Right, and the same thing I'm saying, whenever I'm starting from the day one, right? Visual Studio Code is the light version of Visual Studio. You can't find. This is the reason why Visual Studio Code is free. This is the reason why Visual Studio is, you have to purchase the license, right? You know, the functionality, the flexibility, the UI interface, what Visual Studio provide, you can find in this CLI or in the what I can say, in Visual Studio Code, right? So this is the reason why professional developers companies, right? They are not using this Visual Studio Code and the visual and this CLI command to develop your .NET Core applications, right? As a developer, we are going to use Visual Studio only, because Visual Studio not only give you more functionality, but also it will increase the productivity, right? The things which you will take one day to do using this .NET Core CLI and using Visual Studio Code, you can do it in 1 hour, right? So that what you need to understand, right? Now what my intention is, right? So my intention is I don't want to use that default name what provided by Visual Studio, right? Based on the project directory. And instead of that, I want to create a new project, right, with a new name, my console app one. Then for that purpose, what you need to do, this is the driver command. This new command is used for creating a new project. What kind of project you need to create, that what you need to provide here. And slash n means the name. Slash n means it is name. You can use slash n or name, and then you can give the project name. So whatever name you want, that what you can give. Suppose copying this one and I'm putting it here, right? See, you can see the template console app was created successfully. Now, if you come to here, then you can see this is the project, right? This is the project. Now you can create a console application one inside this my console app. So in like this my console app, you can create any number of projects inside this folder. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right? So I'm created my console app one. You can create a web application, class library project, anything you want, you can create inside this. And whenever you load this, right, let me load this one, right? So you can see this is my console app, and inside this is my console app project. But it should not be the case like this,
It's
right?
very much same as creating from the UI, right?
So, sorry.
This is very much same as creating from the UI.
The thing are going to be same only, right? Same, everything is same. Whatever the code you will find inside the program class, right? Whatever the CS pros file, everything is going to be same, right? Suppose I open this program.cs class file, then you will see whatever code by default it is, right? By default, what exactly it is using? It is using top level statement as false, right? This is the reason
Where
why
is the
you can
class
see.
and namespace?
Sorry,
Where is the class and namespace?
I'm not going to explain where is the class and where is the namespace, right? You guys
Generally,
only tell me. You guys only tell me what if the class and the namespace is not available, what it means.
Top level
Created
statement.
Provided
Top level
default
statement by default is checked or unchecked whenever a application you created, unchecked, right? Unchecked means by default it uses minimal APIs, right? So whatever things are not required, they are going to be removed, right? So in this case, whenever you create the .NET Core CLI command using .NET Core CLI, by default that checkbox is unchecked, and this is the reason why that namespace, class name, method name, nothing is available here. But internally, everything is available. Clear, guys?
Okay.
Yes.
Right? So we have already discussed this thing many times, and I'm not expecting questions, such questions again and again. Why there is no class name, no method name, no namespace? Because as I already mentioned, why the namespace is not required? Because it is using implicitly using na. Implicit using means what? Whatever namespaces, whatever common namespaces required in each and every class file, they are not required. They are putting at the global level, and they are making that those namespaces to be available in each and every class files, right? I just show you this thing in the recently only before some minutes, right? If you open this one, implicit using is enabled. Implicit using is
Okay.
enabled means you do not need to add those namespaces each and every classes, right?
Okay.
So this is how you can create a project at a specific name. And see, here you can use /n or /name command. Because, and to be frank, guys, I'm not that much acquainted with this CLI commands and all these things, right? Because as a professional developer, you will not get any chance to develop any kind of application using .NET Core CLI. But it is good to have some knowledge, right? Because if you are developing some other kind of applications, then it is good, right? And next, what I can say, right? Instead of creating the project in that particular directory, can I create the projects in a different directory altogether? Yes, that is also possible, right? For that purpose, you need to do, you need to use /o or /output, right? So what exactly this /o or /output means? Now, at what directory you need to create the project? So this is not slash, this is double slash. This is double hyphen, right? Now I'm saying slash. Don't confuse. This is double hyphen. This is hyphen, right? So basically, what we need to do, I need to create a folder called my project in the D drive, and then I want to create the application inside that my project folder. So my project folder is already there. Let me delete this one, right? And now I want to create the project inside the my projects directory, right? So for that purpose, I'm copying this code, right? So this .NET is the driver code, right? Let me close these two command prompt, no more required. Let me clear the screen, right? This .NET is the driver command. Whenever you are using .NET Core CLI, means you need to start with the .NET. Even though if you are, see guys, whatever I'm explaining here, it is same as a terminal. If you are using Visual Studio code, or if you are using a terminal, the process is going to be same. So this is the terminal command. New means I'm going to create a new application console means I'm going to create a console application, slash n means the name of the console application. The name of the console application is my console application 2, and I want this console application inside this output directory. So this slash as this hyphen o means output, and this output means inside this project folder, inside this d:// projects folder, it is going to create a new console application with the name my console app 2, right? So just press the enter button, right? So you can see console app was created successfully. Now if you go to the my D drive in my projects folder, then you will see the project. Clear, guys?
Yes.
Right? So after creating the project, if you go, then you will see that the project is created, right? Now what my intention is, I want to add and remove some packages from that particular uh, project, right? So then what you need to do, you just need to select the directory, right? Select the directory means on which directory right your project is. So in my case, I'm going to work with what I can say cd change directory, and my project is inside this d:// right? So this is my project directory. So inside this d my projects, this console application my console app 2 is created, right? So you can see d my projects, and inside this my console app 2.csproj file is there. So inside this project directory, my console application is there. Now inside this console application, I want to add a newtonsoft.json package, right? Now, what I am going to show you is command prompt .NET help. So if you look, which command is used for adding a package? Guys, which command
Add
is
command
used for
is
adding a package? Add command only,
Add.
right? So
sir, these commands are common for all the platform like Linux or Mac.
see, it is a cross command, cross platform. So from the beginning only, I'm saying .NET Core CLI is a cross platform. Cross platform means what?
It will be available on all the platform. The same set of commands you can use in any platform.
See, I'm saying now cross platform means what?
It's applicable for all the platform. The
Obviously,
application will run.
obviously, it is applicable for all platforms. This is the reason why this is .NET Core CLI is said to be cross-platform only, right? So cross-platform means it can use with any kind of application. So basically, you need to use this add command to add package reference in .NET project, right? See, suppose you want to add a package, then what you need to do? Add package, and then you need to specify the name of the package. So, and in this case, I'm going to add Newton sub.json. So I'm specifying add new .NET add package Newton sub.json, right? So first of all, you should select the directory where your project is. Otherwise, it will not work, right? So once you have this, then what you need to write .NET add. I want to add a, what you want to add? I want to add package. And what package I want to add? I want to add a new dot. What is the name exactly that what I need to check?
Newtonsoft.
Newton
Yes.
sub.json. So I just copy the name, because if name is different, it will not work, right? Newton sub.json. So once I do this, right, let me check. Okay. So then press the enter button. So what exactly it is saying? Determine project warning certificates chain validation will use the default trust zone. Okay, whatever it is, no issue. Restored, right? So basically, package reference or right Newton software.json, and what is the version? Version is 13.0.3, which is the latest one added to this project directory. Right now, if you go and check the csproj file, right? This is the project file which contains the information, then you should have that package reference here. You can see that package reference is added. Clear?
Yes. What this
Right? How
package
to,
does here?
sorry,
What this package is used for in Soft?
I'm not getting what you are asking.
What this package does here means package used for which purpose here? Soft.
What is the use of a neutral sub.json?
Yes.
Those are the NuGet packages, so it's mandatory.
So have you ever worked with any kind of a .NET application?
Sorry.
Have you ever worked with the earlier version of a .NET applications? Any kind of
Yes.
applications?
Yes. This
Yes.
I have seen
Yes.
this also earlier.
No. My question. So what is neutral sub.json? That is completely a different story altogether. Do you know what do you mean by package? Why do you know there is a tool called NuGet Package Manager?
Yes. From
What
there
is
we
the
can
use?
add packages.
Then why you
Right
are
click
going to
it.
add packages? No. Why you are going to add packages?
This is
My
required
question.
for the application development.
So for each package, some specific purpose is there, right?
Okay.
Right here it is. I'm not going to explain what is Newton software.json here, right? What is the main objective of this session? You told you just tell me, right? How to add a package, how to remove a package, how to create a application using .NET Core CLI. That is the objective of this session. In this session, I'm not going to show you what is Newton software.json, how to use Newton software.json, right? How you can convert a .NET object into a JSON object, how you can convert a JSON object into a .NET object. That is what not the objective of this session,
Okay.
right? So try to understand what is the objective, right? As we progress, definitely, if I'm going to use a package, definitely I'm going to show you what is the meaning, what is the use of that package. And here again and again I'm saying Newton's of JSON means definitely in our web API sessions I'm going to explain this thing. What is the whenever a request comes, right? How you can handle the data is coming in the form of a JSON, and I want to convert that JSON array or JSON object to a .NET object or a .NET selection. If I'm having some .NET object, I want to convert that .NET object to a JSON object so that I can pass the JSON string as a parameter to the API, right? So for that purpose, we are going to use this Newton's of JSON file. But try to keep focus on the main concept, right? But don't focus on those things which are not relevant at that time. So in this session, my intention is I want to show you how you can add a package, right? It doesn't mean that you cannot add other packages, right? You can using .NET Core CLI, how you can add package. It can be Newton software JSON. It can be entity framework core for SQL Server, right? So anything you can add. So how to add the package? That is what try to learn. Don't understand if I'm going to add entity framework Microsoft SQL Server entity framework driver package here, then you will ask me what is the use of that package. I can't explain at this time because if I try to explain, you can't understand,
Okay.
right? So this is the Newton software.json package, and if you open, then you will see the package reference is there, right? So once you install the package, then how to remove the package? See what command we use to add the package? Add command. Similarly, if you want to remove the package, then what command you need to use? You need to use the remove command. So simply type remove, right? Before that, let me close this CSproj file, right? So if you see, this is add command for adding package reference, and this remove command for removing a package reference from a .NET project, right? Whatever the project, from which project you want to remove the package, that project directory should be selected. In this case, this one, and then you just need to write this .NET remove package Newton sub.json and press the enter button, right? So you can see for removing package reference for package from this project. Once this is executed, open the CSproj file, and this time you should see the package reference should not be there, right? It is deleted from the project. So in this way, we can add what I can say package into our .NET Core applications, right? Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
right? So sometimes, if you guys remember, sometimes whenever you are downloading the project from the TFS, right, from the Git, right, then you will see some of the packages are not working, right? Some of the packages are dependency packages which are used in which are there in the what I can say in the TFS and the GitHub, right, repositories. They are not used. That they are not going to work with your project. So for that purpose, you need to restore the package, right? Restore the package means all the packages, right, are not required whenever we are uploading into the TFS, right? But while we are going to work in our project, we need those packages. For that purpose, what you can see, we can restore the package. That package information is there in the web config file or in the project config file, and from there it will download and it will restore all the packages into your application, right? Similarly, these things is not going to be understood but those people who are not working professional. Those who are working professional, they might know what is TFS, what is Git, what is the importance of them, how we can push our changes into the TFS, right, or into the Git, right, and how we can download the projects from the Git or TFS, right? And in that case, sometimes we need to restore the packages, right? For that purpose, what exactly .NET Core provide CLI, it is providing .NET hyphen restore, right? So once you use this restore package, and even though if you go to this, if you come here, then you can see restore dependency specified in a NuGet package, right? Any dependency packages are there which needs to be restored, right? And in that case, you need to use .NET restore command, right? So just press enter button, then it will show you that determining project to restore, and then it is saying restore. So this is how you can restore the project, right? So how to build the .NET project, right? For that purpose, we are going to use the build command. So if you see, there is a SQL SDK command build a .NET Core project. So simply, you need to select the project directory where your application is residing. Then you need to use the driver command is .NET, and then you need to try build. So if everything is fine, then it is going to make the application and it will give you build successful. Guys, give me 1 minute. Right? So now what I'm going to do, right? Uh, I'm going to make this application uh, so that it will throw some kind of error. I'm just commenting that semicolon, right? So I'm just commenting that semicolon, and now try to build the application once more. So you can see, okay, let me first clear the screen, CLS. Let me run the application. Let me build the application one more time. See, it is showing me that there are some error, right? What error? Now there is some error, semicolon except expected, right? So build failed. So in this case, you can there is no warning, but there is some error in your application code. Please go to this program.cs class file, right? And please try to figure out to this line number 2 and this semicolon line number 2, and the second is nothing but the word count, right? So if you open, say if you open this program.cs class file, and then you will see that this is nothing but your line number 1, line number 2, and this is nothing but the word count 35. So if you count 1 2 3 4 like this, then it should be like this. So if you put this semicolon here, close this one. Now build once more time, right? So now the build should be successful, right? So once the build is successful, then what we need to do? We need to run the .NET Core application. So how to run the .NET Core application? For that purpose, what we need to do? We need to use the run command, right? So you can see here, you can write .NET run. And once you write the .NET run, then you will see hello world message in the screen. So if it is, so the steps process, whatever I explained using .NET console application, it is same as of your web application also. The command, whatever I'm using, only what will change, instead of a console, what you need to write, you need to write the template, right? What is available for web application. For example, .NET new list, right? Suppose I want to create the ASP.NET Core MVC application, right? For that purpose, what command is there? MVC command, right? Let me use this command and create a new web application, right? So for example,
How we can we change the language for that application?
right? Sorry. See,
How we can change?
change means what language you want to use.
Yes.
What language you want to use? AP?
As, as of now, we can change C sharp and F sharp. So I want to know that how we can change in F sharp.
See, that is also possible, right? See, what I told you from the beginning, I'm not that much of an experience into .NET Core CLI, right? So suppose you want to know how to, then just make a Google
Okay.
it and you will get lots of information how to do the changes, right? Because I'm saying I never worked on any .NET CLI command to develop and run application, right? So because
And
we are having Visual Studio.
want to know that what is the difference between build server, build and
Again, I'm saying, guys, I'm not that much good with using this .NET Core CLI commands, right? So, and I can also give you guarantee that you will never going to work with this .NET Core CLI command in future also,
okay.
right? So, apart from this CLI command .NET Restore, there are many other commands are there, right? So build server, interact with the server started by a build. So just Google it and try to learn so what is the meaning of this thing. Because to be frank, this .NET Core CLI class is only today, right? And going further, I'm not going to use this .NET Core CLI. We are having our Visual Studio. We are going to use our Visual Studio to do all this, all the applications, develop the application, run the application. And even if I'm not sure anyone working here, have anyone used this .NET Core CLI command to develop any kind of application as of now?
No, no
Right?
company has provided this environment as of now.
So everyone is using Visual Studio because what I can say, Visual Studio provide that flexibility, that user interface, those functionality which you can find in .NET Core CLI or even though in Visual Studio Code. Yes, those people who are developing UI kind of application, Angular, React, they might be using Visual Studio Code. But if you ask me what is this, all this command, then I can't explain all this command. What is MS build? What is a format? What is this build server? I don't know exactly what is the use of all such commands because I never spend more time on these things, right? Whatever minimum thing is required, that is what I'm learning and explaining you, right? And to be frank, this is the last class of .NET Core CLI because we are not going to develop or run for run purpose I can use, but we are not going to use this .NET Core CLI to develop application, to add packages, right? To write code. We are not going to do such thing using .NET Core CLI. It is very difficult thing because working with that command line interface is not a easy thing. It's a very difficult things, guys. Right. So if you want to learn more about .NET Core CLI command, then just visit Microsoft right MSTN site and just try to learn what is the use of this command, when to use MS build, when to use NuGet, when to use patch.
Hey,
Is that guys?
Sorry?
Satish Kumar, right? So please try to learn this thing, but definitely uh, it will not be a useful one because we are not going to use this thing in our real-time applications, right?
What is
So
the
this is,
watch command, sir? Watch.
sorry,
There is a command called watch. Watch command.
again, you are asking the same question.
Here, additional command from bundle tool.
I have given you this basics. So from the beginning only, I'm saying I'm not that good with the CLI, .NET Core CLI, because I'm a professional .NET developer, and I professionally used to develop application, write all these things using Visual Studio only. Even though I never used to do a Visual Studio code, right? And whatever necessary, right, for showing you how to create a
So
application, how to build the application, how to run the application, how to publish the application, how to add a package, remove it. Those are the basic information I just learned and I just explain. But if you ask me
okay.
what is the meaning of each command, that is not possible for me to explain, because even I don't know, then how I can explain, right?
Okay, we'll search Google.
Right? And if you are
What is
that much, yes.
what is the scope of interview questions for this topic?
It, so they simply ask you what is the use of a .NET Core CLI, right? Then you can say using this is the command line cross-platform tool. Using this .NET Core CLI, we can develop, run, build, host our applications. And whenever we run our application, web application using .NET Core CLI, then by default it is going to use the Kestrel as the web server, and it will make use of a out-of-process hosting, right? So that's it. You will not get any more question from .NET Core CLI. They will never ask what is the command that is used for creating the project. Nobody is going to ask this kind of question. They simply will ask you what is the use of a .NET Core CLI,
Okay, sir.
right? And the basic information whatever I have provided, that you can say using the add command we can add a packages, right? Using new command we can create a new project, right? And that's it. See, if you are developing any application, then these are the things how we can create the application, how we can build the application, how we can run the application, how we add a package. This is the things we generally do with Visual Studio, right? And this is the thing they can also ask you if required, but they will never ask such kind of things. And even though, right, those working professional who are going to take your interview, they are only going to be the working professional, and even though they do not know all these things because they never worked on .NET Core CLI, right? So only those who are learning, right, who are beginner, they only know these kind of things, right? Even though if you go to other institution, they will never touch this .NET Core CLI concept, right? And you will not find many what I can say, many YouTube videos or articles or anywhere related to .NET Core CLI, because it is not required. It is not mandatory things which you should know, right? Whatever mandatory is how you can write, develop, create, run all these things using Visual Studio, right? We are developer, we are going to use Visual Studio, and any working professional who are in this session, they definitely give the answer that they are using Visual Studio. Anyone who is working on .NET who is not working Visual Studio?
Yes, sir. Using Rider.
Using Visual Studio?
Using Rider.
Sorry?
Rider. JetBrain Rider.
Yeah, JetBrain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is a completely different tool altogether, right? This is not related to this CLI command, right? Anyone who is working in .NET project, developing the application, right, writing the code using Visual Studio Code or this .NET Core CLI, is there anyone here? See, JetBrains, ReSharper, right? Those are some different tools that you can use. That is completely a different story altogether. And if someone using .NET Visual Studio Code for developing the .NET Core application, means that company is very poor, right? They do not have money to buy the license. That's it. Because but most professional developer, most companies, right? Most companies, 100% companies, they are using only Visual Studio. Okay. So this is how you can create, develop, run, and host and yeah, build your .NET Core applications, right? So the last thing what I'm going to discuss in today's session, or the last things, right? What is there in our ASP.NET Core syllabus is, right? If you check the course syllabus, we have almost covered all these things, right? So we have discussed what are the different web technologies, what is .NET Core framework, the environment setup, right? What is the difference between .NET Core and .NET Framework code execution process, how you can start creating application using .NET 6. We have discussed the project file, main method, in process hosting, Kestrel server, out of process hosting, launch settings, app settings, right? Middleware component, request processing pipeline, www root folder, static files, middleware component, configuring default page, developer exception, command line interface. We have discussed all these things today. The last piece what I'm going to discuss is project templates in ASP.NET Core web applications, right? So with this, our basic concept is going to be clear, and from tomorrow onwards we are going to start our main concept, right? ASP.NET Core MVC. So project template means, as we already discussed, while we are creating the web application, we have different types of project template. So you can create ASP.NET Core Web App, Blazor Server App, ASP.NET Core Web API, ASP.NET Core MT, ASP.NET Core Web App. Right. So basically, this Core Web App we are going to discuss in our coming sessions. ASP.NET Core Web API we are going to use definitely. This is in our coming sessions. ASP.NET Core MT we have already used this one. This will right. And the next one, ASP.NET Core Web App, that is MVC based application. Definitely we are going to use. So MVC application, Web API application, Razor Pages application. These three we are going to use very frequently. And ASP.NET Core M2 we have already used, right? So whenever you create the project using ASP.NET Core empty project template, then you will get this project structure by default. There is no controller folder, there is no view folder, there is no model folder, nothing is there, right? Only the app settings and program file and this properties file is there, right? Anything you want, you can do this manually. Even though as of now we have created this kind of application, if you want, then you can convert this empty core web application into Razor Pages application, into MVC application, into Web API application. How we can convert that empty project template into MVC application, or how we can convert ASP.NET Core empty project to a Web API application or to a Razor Pages application, that is what I'm going to discuss from tomorrow onwards, right? And then this web app project template means what? Now, basically, if you want to develop page focused application, right? Razor page focused application, then you need to use this Razor Pages, right? Web ASP.NET Core Web App project template. This is not in our core syllabus, but definitely I will give some idea. I will develop some application to make you understand what is Razor Pages, how the Razor Pages work, right? How you can develop the application using Razor Pages, what is the architecture of Razor Pages. Definitely, this is not in the core syllabus, but I will add that as part of this course syllabus. ASP.NET Core Web API, Web App, right? Model View Controller. This is one of the main concept of our course syllabus, right? What is MVC? What is ASP.NET Core MVC? What is the difference between MVC and ASP.NET Core MVC? What is the role of a model? What is the role of a view? What is the role of controller, right? What are the things you should know about what is, right? How you can make use of a Bootstrap, CSS, JavaScript file, right? Or routing concept is there, security is there, membership security is there, ASP.NET identity, ASP.NET Core identity is there, right? Everything we are going to discuss. What is HTML helper, what is tag helper, what is the difference between them, how to use tag helper, right? What is scaffolding, how to generate views, right? What are the different kinds of views, like or you can say layout view, view import is there, right? So what is the use of all such things we are going to discuss in detail, and that is going to start from tomorrow onwards. And as part of this, and sometimes, right, once we discuss some of the concept, right, before starting the real, what I can say, ASP.NET Core application using Entity Framework Core, right? So before that, what I will do, I will take 3-4 classes, right? I will make you understand what exactly Entity Framework Core, how you can develop application using entity framework, or what is the difference between the entity framework what we used in our earlier .NET application, .NET framework application, like right the .NET 6 sorry, the entity framework 6 in our earlier .NET framework application, and what is entity framework 4 in our .NET Core application. What are the things that are available in there is not available here, right? What are the things which is available in earlier framework and this in the core framework, right? And what are the new things provided in entity framework core? That what I'm going to explain by taking 3-4 classes, and I will make you understand how exactly the entity framework core code first approach and the database first approach is work in .NET Core. And once you understand these things, then I will start using your ASP.NET Core MVC application with entity framework core to perform the database cloud operation and all these things, right? And then once the MVC part is completed, then you can also make use of ASP.NET Core Web API project. And guys, remember, if you are using this ASP.NET Core MVC on this model view controller project template, then whatever required services, right, whatever required middleware components, whatever required to make the MVC application, all these things are going to be provided by the ASP.NET Core Web App Model View Controller project template, right? If you see in empty, there's no web root folder, there's no model folder, no view folder, no controller folder. But here, if you see, there is a web root folder, there is a controller folder, model folder, view folder, right? Everything is going to be provided by the ASP.NET Core Web App Model View Controller project template. But guys, but one thing that you need to understand that even though if you create the application using MVC project template, you can still use this application as a RESTful web services, right? RESTful web services means what? Don't think that you can only create the views which action method which is going to return view. Even though it is also possible to create the controller and the controller is going to return some JSON data, right? Or return some XML data to the client. That is also possible, right? So if you are using model view controller template, then you have, then by default it is going to provide all the things which are required to develop the web MVC application. But still you can use this application as a RESTful services, right? Similarly, if you are going to develop any RESTful services means what? What I can say, the HTTP based web services which the client can consume, right? Client can consume, the client can be anything, web application, Android application, iOS application, some desktop application, console application, anybody can consume your web services, right? And
Even
for
mobile,
that, sorry?
even mobile can use, right?
So I'm saying Android and iOS, what are they? They are only mobile, na?
Okay. And
Right?
here we are getting the area also in the model view folder. There is a concept of area.
Yes. Everything is there. See, what are the things available? Once I start discussing everything, I'm going to explain, right? I'm just going to give you a idea. So idea means what exactly we are going to do. So apart from this thing, many other things are available, right? All these things we are going to discuss. Even the bundling concept is there, minification concept is there, right? SMA concept is there, right? You can also implement that ASP.NET identity, which is going to provide the flexibility for the login, logout, right? For the remember me functionality, password change functionality, forgot password functionality, right? To the role-based authentication. So all these things are possible. Everything we are going to discuss, right? So in this case, even though if you see in this case, you will see the controller folder, but you will not find the views folder and model folder. Model folder is anything which you can put anywhere, right? Even directly at the project level, you can create the model folder. You can create a folder with the models, right? Inside that, you can create the classes. Even you can create the models in a separate class library project. You can use them inside your application. You can create a different folder name, right? Some other name. You can put the model. Model is not specific, but the controller and views, they are specific. And in this case, whatever things required to develop a web application, everything is going to be provided by ASP.NET Core Web API project template. Even though this is created as a ASP.NET Core Web API project, if you want, then you can also convert this to a MVC based application, right? You can create the views folder, you can create the controller which is going to return the view. If you remember, from day one, I have told you, it provides unified controller, unified programming model. Unified programming model means what? Now the same controller, right, can return some JSON data, can also return a view, right? And that is possible in .NET Core, but in earlier framework, this is not possible. In earlier framework, the base controller is one is API controller and another is controller. But in this case, there is no differences. You can use the controller to return the view, even though you can use the same controller to return some JSON data. This is possible in our ASP.NET Core application, right? So even though you can also create ASP.NET Core Web application, right? You can also create the ASP.NET Core Web application in combination with Angular, React, or Redux, right? So this is also possible. So at the end, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create the Angular application along with the ASP.NET Core Web API, right? So that you will understand how you can perform the CRUD operation in Angular, right? So basically, in that case, the UI part I'm going to design using Angular, but the backend part I'm going to use ASP.NET Core Web API, right? And then I will show you how you can make use of RESTful services from your Angular application, right? That is also what I'm going to discuss. So this is how the course is structured, and we have completed our basic concept. And this basic concept are mandatory, and you should know, because as we progress, I'm not going to discuss what is project file. See, if any new things are going to be added inside the project file, that's what I'm going to discuss. But I'm not going to discuss what is project file, how you can use the project file, what are the content by default provided. Those things I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to explain this main method anymore, because whatever new services, new middleware component that what we are going to register, I'm going to directly explain those concepts, but I'm not going to discuss that this is the main method, this is the entry point of our .NET Core application. This main method is going to set the web host, right? See, it will decide the web server by looking at the log settings.json file and environment, right? Whether to use in process or out of process, whether to use IIS or Kestrel server, in what scenario it is going to use IIS, in what scenario it is going to Kestrel, in what scenario it is going to use both the server, when the Kestrel is going to actual internet facing server or external server, when it is going to work as the internal server. I'm not going to explain those things, right? So what is log settings? I'm not going to explain what is app settings. These are concepts. How to register a middleware component. We have already discussed. We are having the right. If you want to register any middleware component, you are having use method. You are having run method. Run is going to be the terminating middleware component. Using use method, we can configure a middleware component which might be called the next middleware component. What is the request processing pipeline? What is the importance of registering the middleware component, right? The sequence is mandatory. So those kinds of things I'm going to use directly. I'm not going to discuss this webroot folder anymore, because we have already discussed, and we discussed that any static files required in our application that needs to be put inside the webroot folder. Even though whenever I'm going to create the MVC application, then I will show you by default what are the files provided by ASP.NET MVC framework. Static files middleware, we have already discussed. How to make the default page, we have already discussed, even though this is not required, because if once we start developing the MVC application, then we can make use of a controller-based routing, and in that case, controller-based routing, right, we can specify what is the default controller name, what is the default action method name, right? If the controller and action method name is not specified, then which controller, which action method is going to be executed? If only the URL specify the controller name, then by default, which action method of that particular controller is going to be executed? That all these things we are going to discuss. Let's say routing, attribute-based routing. Why you should use attribute routing, right? Attribute routing is for MVC application or for web API application. And all these things we are going to discuss. We have already discussed this developer exception page middleware component, right? And how you can configure this based on the environment, right? If the environment is development, we need to show the exception details. How we can show the exception details, right? And then we have discussed this command line interface today. This is not required anywhere in our project syllabus. You will not find this command line interface, right? And then this is the project template, right? What are the different project templates available in .NET Core to create a different kind of a .NET applications, right? And from tomorrow, and guys, remember one more thing. As we progress, definitely whatever the course syllabus is provided here, I'm going to cover 100%. Plus, additionally, I'm also going to add some new concept to this syllabus, right? Because day by day, I'm also learning something new, something interesting, some new features are introduced. Then as we progress, as I learn, then definitely I'm going to include those concepts as part of this course syllabus, right? So you just have a look at the course syllabus, and at some point in time, you will definitely find some of the new concepts that are going to be added as part of this course syllabus. So from tomorrow, I'm going to start how you can make the ASP.NET MVC environment setup, right? What is exactly MVC? Introduction to ASP.NET MVC, how you can set, what are the difference between add controller, add MVC, add controller with views, add reservation, all these things. What is model? What is the role of controller? What is the role of views? How you can implement dependency injection, right? How you can develop application using the MVC template. So first I will, up to this, right? First 7 point, I will start using ASP.NET Core empty application. In that empty application, I'm going to set up the required services and middleware, which is required for ASP.NET MVC manually. I'm going to create the model folder manually, creating the model classes manually, creating the controllers manually, going to create the views manually, right? And once I make you understand what is how you can make your environment set up for MVC application, how you can create the controller views and models in your application, then I will create the ASP.NET MVC application using the MVC template. And whatever we have done this manually, right? Everything is going to be provided by the MVC template, right? And then you will understand, yes, this is the things which is going to be provided by the ASP.NET Core Model View Controller project template. And what is the use of each things before using, you will understand, because all these things we are going to discuss manually. Great, guys. Any question from anyone? Someone asked me, ping me yesterday, is having some issue when the static files middleware serve the request, why the next component is not executing. Who is asking that question yesterday? Ping me in the WhatsApp. Is that guy available?
Yes, it's me, sir.
It's you. Okay, so that we will discuss currently once the session end, we available, right? Don't leave the session, we will discuss that, right? Any question from anyone else?
Sir, are we going to validate the data here in MVC, like using a data annotation?
Why you are in a hurry? I don't know. So data annotation, why you tell me?
Just to validate the model.
So
data.
first of all, go through the course syllabus. Is there
Okay.
any concept called data annotation? Not only I'm going to use data annotation, but I'm also going to show you how you can use Fluent API to do validations.
Okay. I
Right?
didn't
So
see
data
that.
annotation you basically used for the validation purpose, right?
Okay.
And even though not only valid data annotation, because mostly in the industry, right, people are using Fluent API. I'm going to use both things. I don't know why you are in a hurry. Before asking any question, please try to visit the course syllabus and check whether whatever question you are going to ask, whether that is available in the course syllabus or not.
Okay.
Right?
Sir,
Guys,
one
any
question.
question from? Yeah.
Yes. For ASP.NET Core MVC is using controller routing, right? What about ASP.NET page, ASP.NET Core pages, web pages?
Right. See, that is what I'm saying now. So what I told you, I'm going to explain you ASP.NET Core Azure Pages framework, right? How exactly it is work, right? What is the architecture, right? Everything I'm going to discuss. So why you are asking this concept, right? So here you can say add controller. I'm going to explain these things. Don't be
No,
in
in
a
this
hurry.
one, MVC, here ASP.NET Core MVC syllabus is there, but I confused with that ASP.NET web pages.
See, ASP.NET Core syllabus is there, but what I just mentioned, I just told you
Okay.
that I am going to explain this project template, right? What is ASP.NET Core Azure Pages application, how the architecture is designed, how you can create, what are the different components, right? That is what I'm going to discuss. This is the reason why I have put that in the project template. So at some point of time, I'm going to discuss this thing. I already, before few
Okay.
minutes only, I only told you, na? I'm going to cover this thing. This is not as part of our course syllabus, but definitely I'm going to cover this thing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Right?
Hi, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, so yesterday we discussed regarding that middleware component. So in future,